Here, you can sail away and find tranquility. Oh, the canvas can do miracles, just you wait and see. Gorgeous shorelines, mansions, tasty seafood, boat tours, and a water fire as we explore the sailing capital of the world, Newport, Rhode Island. Seawater is rich in minerals, and the wind off the ocean air has a calming effect on the human body. So maybe, for some mental healing, you might want to consider a trip to the ocean state, Rhode Island. This is the fourth video of our Fall Colors series. We started in Blue Ridge, Georgia, then showed Vermont, and last week, Boston. Next will be New Hampshire. But now, we head a couple of hours south of Boston to Newport, as well as several other locations in Rhode Island. In Newport, we'll explore the lively Bowens and Bannister Wharfs. We will take you on 3 different boat tours, all showing something different, including the Adirondack II schooner. We'll explore the coastline from the shore as we walk the famous 3.5-mile cliff walk from Easton Beach to Bailey's Beach, showing beautiful mansions and the 40 steps with the waves crashing and the breakers. We'll travel down the historic colonial-era Thames Street. Then go across the bridge to Jamestown, showing the harbor, Fort Wetherill State Park, and Beavertail Lighthouse. Then travel further south to Point Judith, a small cape on the western side of the Narragansett Bay, with beaches and the Camp Cronin fishing area with scenic overlooks and jetties. We'll travel to the capital of Rhode Island, Providence, showing an amazing urban park and the water fire along the river that happens May through November, and then also to Pawtucket, showing the birthplace of the Industrial Revolution. And we'll give you tips on travel and lodging. So join us as we explore the ocean state. For a state that is only 48 miles long and 36 miles wide, the smallest state in the U.S., it is notable that it has 384 miles of coastline, from rocky cliffs to sandy beaches. While it is called Rhode Island, most of the state is on the mainland, carved out by the huge Narragansett Bay, which covers 2/3 of the state. There are actually 30 islands, with 4 main larger islands. One of them is Block Island, that is 14 miles offshore, where you need a ferry to get to. The largest island is Aquidneck Island, that Newport is located on. You can pretty much get to anywhere in the state in under an hour, so as a result, we're going to show much of Rhode Island in this video. The Claiborne Pale Newport Bridge connects Jamestown with Aquidneck Island. It crosses the east passage of the Narragansett Bay. At 2.1 miles long, it is much longer than the Golden Gate Bridge. Goat Island extends out into the bay, part of the city of Newport. The Newport Harbor Light sits on the north end of the island, also known as Goat Island Light. Newport, as well as its water activities, has a lot of colonial architecture and history. Rhode Island was the 13th of the original 13 colonies to become part of the United Colonies, symbolized on its state flag with 13 stars. The word hope comes from the Hebrew verse in the Bible, "Hope we have as an anchor of the soul." It was the first state to declare independence, actually 2 months before our nation's Declaration of Independence. Last week we saw the Boston Tea Party ship, but you could say Newport was the first to rebel against England, as they burnt down the British ship Gaspee a year before the Boston Tea Party. In colonial times, Newport was the rum capital of the world. Today, you can explore Newport Craft Brewing and Distilling Company, where you can taste the Thomas Tew rum, as well as craft brews, vodka, and gin. We enter the harbor area on Washington Street. Here is one of the best places for quick, fresh seafood, located on Long Wharf. The Lobster Shack, a dockside counter-serve eatery serving lobster, crab, conch, fish, and delicious corn, ask Bailey, with picnic tables overlooking the harbor. Known as one of the best spots for seafood, with a great view. In the summer and fall, you'll find parking is a premium here. Lots can fill up very quickly. The bigger lots around the wharf are $20 to $40 a day. And the metered parking along the street through the Passport parking app is about $3 to $5 an hour. Now, if you don't mind walking about a mile, you can find some street parking that is free, but you always want to allow extra time for parking. From May through October, there's the free hop-on, hop-off Bellevue trolley, Route 67, that runs along some of the main Newport sites. In addition, there's some Newport travel trolley tours that start at about $26. We pass by Bowens and Bannister Wharf here, which we'll come back to in a bit. So there's an advantage to lodging in downtown, but lodging is also very expensive. You have the Hotel Viking here, but in the summer and fall, it'll be about $300 to $500 a night, and you find that's pretty typical for most places in walking distance of the waterfront. For a less expensive option, try Middletown, Rhode Island. It's just 3 miles away, also on Aquidneck Island. You'll find cheaper hotels here, about half the cost. And again, I have to rave about another pet-friendly Howard Johnson's, which is where I stayed. It was absolutely great. It has sliding glass doors that face the parking lot, so made it easy to walk to your car. A good, clean, modern room, large indoor pool, jacuzzi, and a fitness center, and another excellent breakfast, complete with eggs, bacon, waffles, and a nice lounge. Alright, enough with the logistics. Let's begin the fun by getting you out on the water. Now, Newport is also a popular large cruise port. They anchor out in the harbor and tender passengers to Parody Park via small transport boats, and passengers have all day to enjoy Newport. This is the Queen Mary II, the longest ocean liner ever built, measuring at 1,132 feet. That is almost 4 football fields, 250 feet longer than Titanic was. It offers transatlantic cruises. For boat tours in Newport, most of them are at Bowen's Wharf. This, along with Bannister's Wharf right next to it, is the center of entertainment and dining in Newport. A bustling harbor and square, lined with quaint boutiques, cafes, galleries, and sightseeing companies like Coastal Queen Cruises, which we are going to hop on. Grabbing some Italian ice at Boba on Bowens first.
Coconut Italian ice.
As we cruise out of the dock, we pass by the Lobster Bar, with dockside seating overlooking the harbor. On New Year's Day, they have a jumping off the deck cannonball competition. Don't think I want to be jumping off that deck in January. Coastal Queen Cruises does run most of the year, as it has an indoor area with a bar. They have an hour and 15-minute mimosa and lighthouse tour, starts at $34, or an evening cocktail cruise for $38. Also a 2-hour land and sea tour that includes the Newport trolley, and in early spring and late fall, there's a cruise that will take you out to see the local gray seals in their natural habitat. We sail by the Queen Mary II. And lots of sailboat and schooner activity here. So really, made for a nice cruise, so much to see just sailing out of the harbor. A college regatta near the bridge there. You can sail aboard an actual 12-meter America's Cup racing yacht. This is the Heritage Yacht, sailing by the Fort Adams Lookout Point. And there's the Adirondack II, which we'll do a sunset cruise on at the end of the video. This is the Hammersmith Farm, the childhood home of Jackie Kennedy, where her and JFK had their wedding reception in 1953. We sail by the Castle Hill Inn, built in 1875. You can stay in the mansion seen here, or they also have cottages. In the summer and fall, it's about $1,000 to $1,800 a night. Of the 3 boat tours I did, this was the only one that went underneath the Newport Bridge. This is the Rose Island Lighthouse. You can take a tour of $12 for adults, $8 for children, and they also have lodging. You can stay overnight. Before or after your cruise, you have plenty of options for food and drink, or to take a nap while the wife is shopping. There's 22 Bowens Wine Bar and Grille, with dining on an open-air elevated deck, as well as porch side right on the boat dock. Next to 22 Portside is The Landing. Also has a second-story open-air deck with seafood specialties and raw bar platters. And live music was rocking it out pretty good on this day. Bannister's Wharf was a social and commercial lifeline of Colonial Newport. It is right next to Bowen's Wharf, so the two of them really form a town square. On Bannister's Wharf, there's the colonial-style Clarke Cooke House restaurant. This is a high-end restaurant with a French, American, and seafood menu. There's the Black Pearl, a formal restaurant with a covered open-air patio right on the dock. At the end of Bannister's Wharf is a nice scenic platform overlooking the marina. Springtime Coffee is here to pick up a latte and pastries. You'll find Bowens and Bannister's Wharf pretty pet-friendly, Bailey having a meet and greet with Lexi the Cavapoo. For West Coast-style Mexican food, there's Diego's, a nice casual patio under trees and umbrellas. The Cookie Jar for sweets, cookies, and breakfast sandwiches. And for something quick, there's Luke's Lobsters to pick up a lobster roll. $38 for lobster roll and chips.
No lobster for you. That's too expensive.
Across the street from Bowen's Wharf is Queen Anne Square, a nice colonial-era park, with historical buildings like Trinity Church, which was one of the few buildings that was spared when the British burned down Newport. The Historic District is the core of the original city of Newport, as it was during the years of its founding in 1639 to the American Revolution. Surviving buildings date back from the latter years of the 1600s. There are 75-minute guided historical walking tours through the city, beginning at the Museum of Newport History in the 1763 Brick Market. Tours cover the colonial period from the 1600s to Newport's role in the American Revolution, to learning where scoundrels lived and pirates profited. They are $20 for adults, $10 for children 5 to 12. Thames Street is the primary street in downtown Newport. It is one of Newport's original two streets, laid out in 1654. It goes for 1.5 miles and runs parallel to the waterfront. Part of it runs along America's Cup Avenue. This is also known as the Upper Thames. From America's Cup Avenue heading south, it is known as the Lower Thames, where it becomes a one-way street. It is here you'll find the Midtown Oyster Bar. Also Scooter World with mopeds, golf carts, and bicycles for exploring the area. Thames Street is lined on either side with a variety of shops, restaurants, and bars, as well as art galleries. Certainly the place for shopping in Newport. And there's several historical inns like the Francis Malbone House on the left. You can book on Expedia, or many bed and breakfasts you can find on Vrbo. All right, let's head to the mansions. After the Revolutionary and Civil Wars, Newport prospered in what is known as the Gilded Age, a period of rapid industrialization and economic growth in the late 1800s. Fortunes were spent on luxurious summer cottages. In the HBO drama The Gilded Age, many of the scenes were filmed in Newport at mansions like The Breakers, Marble House, The Elms, Rosecliff. These four are open year-round, and other scenes were filmed at Chateau Surmer and Hunter House, which are open seasonally. You can get info and purchase tickets at newportmansions.org. A good way to see these mansions and enjoy a scenic coastline trail is the 3.5-mile cliff walk with 16 points of interest. It begins here at Easton's Beach, also known as First Beach. There's a parking lot here about 0.3 of a mile from the entrance to the cliff walk that is $15 a day. And there's metered parking on the street for $2 an hour, limited to 3 hours. But in the summer and fall, these spots will fill up very fast, so you definitely want to come early. And about a mile into the cliff walk, there's limited street parking along Narragansett Avenue. This is a half mile from the Breakers, where the only restrooms along the cliff walk are at. Bailey having a meet and greet with Toby the Puggle and Lyric the Pit Bull. The 40 steps are located here, These steps lead down to Conrad's Cape and the ocean shoreline. Sailors and fishermen would gather here, as well as servants from the mansions during the Gilded Age. This is Ochre Court, a mansion owned by Salve Regina University. Further down the cliff walk, the Breakers, with 70 rooms, is the largest mansion in Newport and the 21st largest house in the U.S. It is 1.5 miles from Easton's Beach. There are benches along the way on the cliff walk, more so on the first part of it, not so much on the latter half, with 2/3 of the walk being an easy paved trail. But you lose that pavement temporarily after the Chinese tea house as you go around a bend. You have to be a little careful here because the pathway is narrow and there's no guardrails. After the bend, the pavement picks up again for a little bit, then you lose the asphalt again as you approach Rough Point. It gets very rocky here. You'll definitely want to use hiking shoes or boots as you go around the John Russell Pope House, also known as the Waves. Then shortly after this point, you pick up the paved trail again, as it takes you to the end at Bailey's Beach. To avoid parking hassles, note, you take the Route 68 bus to First Beach. After hiking the cliff walk, you can hop on the Route 67 trolley at Rough Point, which is 3 miles down the cliff walk from the start. Or if you do the whole cliff walk to Bailey's Beach, it is just a short 0.3 of a mile walk back to Rough Point via Bellevue Avenue to catch the 67 trolley. Before we head down the coast and then to Providence, we jump on another boat tour, this time with Gansett Cruises, which is done on a restored 50-foot lobster boat with a sun canopy. They have mimosa cruises, harbor tours, and sunset cruises. It's $37 for adults, $34 for children 3 to 12, add $8 for Sunset Cruise. And you get a complimentary Dell's Lemonade, which is a staple in Rhode Island.
And on the right-hand side, great view of Newport's skyline. And I know what you're going to say. What skyline?
Of the 3 boat tours I did, this had the best narration. Patrick here gave lots of interesting info in a very entertaining way.
But the King of England found out what was going on, and he got really mad. He told our governor, put an end to piracy in Newport Harbor or I'm going to have you executed.
And another thing you might want to do on the water is to take the Jamestown-Newport Ferry. You hop on it at Parody Park or Ann Street Pier. It goes to the Fort Adams Recreation Area, which hosts an annual Newport Jazz Festival and Folk Festival. Fort Adams is $6 per person and is dog-friendly. The ferry also goes to the Rose Island Lighthouse and across the Narragansett Bay to Jamestown. The historic Jamestown Village has a quaint mix of shops and fresh seafood restaurants, all within walking distance of the ferry. Like the Narragansett Cafe, voted best neighborhood bar and grill, with live music by Rhode Island Monthly. You can rent kayaks, paddleboards, and bicycles from Jamestown Outdoors on the East Ferry Wharf. There's a long sidewalk, makes for a nice walk along the Narragansett Bay. Stunning harbor views overlooking the bay and the Jamestown Bridge. And there's several vacation rentals you can find on Verbal here in downtown Jamestown. Further down the coast is Fort Wetherill State Park, where you can explore an abandoned military fort, scenic hikes, fishing, kayaking with views of the Narragansett Bay. We pass by Mackerel Cove, also known as Jamestown Beach. It's sheltered from the currents of the bay, thereby making it great for swimming. And there's the Beavertail Lighthouse and Museum, was America's 3rd lighthouse, the first in Rhode Island, built in 1749. It's open May through October, and on selected days, you can climb the tower for a suggested $5 donation. There's a 49-step spiral staircase and a 7-foot ladder to reach the observation catwalk. If you have the time, you want to make the drive along the south coast of Rhode Island to Point Judith. There's the Scarborough State Beach, one of Rhode Island's most popular beaches in the summer. There's full facilities with outdoor showers, as well as indoor heated showers. 30 minutes southwest of Newport is Narragansett, Rhode Island, where the Point Judith Lighthouse is located at. This lighthouse is on a Coast Guard station, so you can't go inside, but you can walk around the perimeter. On the west side of the lighthouse is the Camp Cronin fishing area. This is a hidden gem in Rhode Island you have to check out. You can park right next to the ocean here. Makes for an easy walk to the shoreline. There's a small flight of stairs to a little memorial garden that sits on a hill overlooking the lighthouse and the Atlantic Ocean. A beautiful stone beach. This is an excellent place to listen to the waves crashing. And it's not very crowded. There's a super long jetty that extends way out into the Atlantic. 3 miles west of the Point Judith Lighthouse is the Port of Galilee, an authentic working New England fishing village. It is across the harbor from Jerusalem. Yeah, sounds like you are in Israel, but this is still Rhode Island. Galilee has a great selection of seafood restaurants, like George's of Galilee, with an elevated deck overlooking the Block Island Sound. The Salty Brine State Beach Recreation Area is here. It is inside a 3-mile seawall, so protected from the surf, makes it safe for swimming. Parking does fill up quickly though in the summer. Here you can take a ferry to Block Island, which is located 14 miles offshore. Takes 55 minutes to get to, or they also have a high-speed ferry. Takes 30 minutes. It is $24 for adults, $11 for children, for a same-day round trip, and about $80 with a standard-sized vehicle. Block Island is midway between Long Island, New York, and Martha's Vineyard. You can bike around the island, hike the Mohegan Bluffs, do horseback riding, kayak, or enjoy the beautiful beaches and 2 lighthouses. All right, let's head to the capital of Rhode Island, Providence. We head north following the Narragansett Bay. At Providence, it splits off into the Seekonk River. And about 30 minutes north of Providence is Pawtucket, where the Seekonk River becomes the Blackstone River. Here at Slater's Mill is where the Industrial Revolution began, where America went from a nation of farms to an international industrial power, with its first water-powered textile mill. It's right next to I-95, so makes for an easy stop when traveling. Guided tours of the mill are free.
All under the agreement that he is going to
Pawtucket has a lot of your classic New England architecture around the river, like the Art Deco City Hall here. There's actually 2 waterfalls. There's one at the mill and the Pawtucket Falls next to the bridge. For centuries, Native Americans would cross the river on the rocks below the falls to travel from one side of the Narragansett Bay to the other side. The Providence River Bridge carries I-195 in Providence. It is the next bridge after the Newport Bridge to cross the bay. Here it is the Providence River before it feeds into the bay. Providence, the capital of Rhode Island, is one of the oldest cities in New England, founded in 1636. The neoclassical Rhode Island State House building, which is the 4th largest structural dome in the world. At the top, the Independent Man statue, representing freedom and independence. The tallest building in Rhode Island is the Industrial National Bank Building, but better known as the Superman Building, because of its resemblance to the Daily Planet in the Superman TV series. It has been vacant for a decade, but is currently being renovated. Providence developed as a busy port, being at the head of the Narragansett Bay. One of the most beautiful, massive urban parks you ever see is here, Roger Williams Park. They have a big zoo here, which I was going to film, but my schedule put me a day behind, and the day I ended up here, the zoo was closed. But the park itself outside the zoo is worth making a trip here. You could easily spend a whole day here. There's a museum of natural history with a planetarium, a carousel village, a Japanese gardens, a botanical center, gorgeous walking paths, and a bike park, all spread out around 5 lakes. At the Dalrymple Boathouse, you can rent small electric boats, duck paddle boats, or kayaks, and the park is pet-friendly. Being it is close to I-95, this makes a good stop if you are traveling further into New England to take a break from the driving and enjoy the nature. Parking is free. It is exceptionally colorful in the spring and the fall. And 5 minutes south of the park is a really good pet-friendly La Quinta Inn located in Warwick, Rhode Island. Reasonable rates, clean modern rooms, and they had a really good breakfast. And one thing you must do in Providence is experience a water fire. Water fire is typically held May through November on Saturday evenings about twice a month. The event is free and open to the public. While the fires happen from sunset to midnight, the festivities really start about 3 hours before sunset. Downtown Providence is nice, with waterside trails on both sides of the Providence River. Makes for a nice walk. The river is also great for kayaking. You can rent one with Providence Kayak. For a 75-minute rental, it's $30 for a single or $45 for a double kayak. There's vendors all along the river for food, drink, and ice cream, as well as live street performers. The Michael Van Leesten Memorial Pedestrian Bridge opened here in 2019. More than just a bridge, it serves as a community gathering place with benches in the middle. The 195 District Park across the river is set up with picnic tables, food tents, and food trucks. A raw oyster bar underneath a big tent. They are currently building a year-round food and beverage pavilion. That should be opening soon. Tables and chairs lined up on the Riverwalk. I picked up a fish cake sandwich.
Yeah, as far as I know.
As the sun starts to set, more and more people start to gather. You can feel the buzz in the air, people excited. You can take a romantic Italian gondola ride with La Gondola. $89 for 2 passengers. During the water fire, it's $139. Can fit up to 6 passengers. The water fire centers around a series of nearly 100 bonfires that blaze above the river, illuminating nearly 2/3 of a mile. You can hear the crackling flames, smell the blazing cedar and pine. There's soft music, with a flotilla of torch-lit vessels cruising the river. And finally, we end this video back in Newport on the Schooner Adirondack II. This is operated by Newport Classic Cruises, a classic harbor line company whom we mentioned in our Boston video, which operates Adirondack 3 and 4 in Boston Harbor. This is an 80-foot, turn-of-the-century schooner with mast over 70 feet.
Okay, ready?
Holds up to 57 passengers. They also have the schooner Madeline, slightly smaller, holds 49 passengers, and they have a couple of yachts. They sail from May through late October. I'm on the last scheduled sail of the season on October 21st, but they ended up sailing a few more days after this. There's several tours on either of these schooners. I'm doing the Sunset Cruise, which is $64 to $68 for adults. Only ages 12 and up are allowed for this tour. Children are allowed on some of the other tours. We raced the Enchanted Princess with Princess Cruise Lines out to sea. It looks like the Enchanted Princess 83,000 horsepower engines are just too much for the Adirondack II. It cruises out to New York City, Boston, Portland, Maine, and Halifax, Canada on a 7-day cruise. The schooners are nice because they can get a little closer to the shoreline than the yachts can. Being on the sea with no motor running, setting low to the waves, feeling the gentle sea breeze on the skin, just the sound of the sails adjusting to the wind, and people enjoying good conversations. It's worth a trip to Newport, Rhode Island. As the sun sets on Narragansett Bay, we come to the end of a great time in the Ocean State.
We never asked them how many people they...
I would like to hear your tips or things you have enjoyed in Newport, as well as the rest of Rhode Island. I have put info in the description below of the places featured in this video to help you plan your Rhode Island getaway. If you are traveling with a dog, these Kurgle dog backpacks are the best. It allows you to take your dog to places you maybe otherwise would not be able to, and saves them from excessive walking. We are Tampa Aerial Media. We film travel videos across the USA. For stock footage, or if you would like us to film your city, region, or travel-related business, contact us at info@tampaaerialmedia.com. Well, we still have a couple of videos in this series, like New Hampshire, and Skyline Drive and the Blue Ridge Parkway. However, it's the time of year where we have to do some Florida videos. So in the next couple of months, we're going to be doing update videos on the west coast of Florida after the hurricanes. And a new video of the Florida Keys. Bailey wants to ride a moped. As well as videos of Fernandina Beach and Amelia Island. And in March, our annual video of Tampa, which this year will feature the Savannah Bananas and Gasparilla. So lots of Florida coming soon.
Eat in our restaurants, drink in our bars, find our souvenirs, and probably take a harbor tour. Yeah! They were you people! They were the original tourists! We loved them, we thought they were fantastic.
Hey, let's sail away. Let's pretend we're born again. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Hey, let's fly away. See the sunrise every day. Whoa, whoa, whoa. It's a good day to begin.